Hi, my name is James, and in 2023, I decided to thru hike the Colorado Trail. I spent so much time throughout my life getting into the outdoors through my family and through scouting, but I knew I was ready for something new, something challenging, and something unique, hence the Colorado Trail. I started the Colorado Trail considerably early. June was the only time that would work for me over the summer. But little did I know what I was really getting myself into for the next 500 miles. But enough talk. Here's my story. Seeing the Colorado Trail sign for the first time was just so exciting. This moment was the only thing I could think about for months now. I just couldn't believe it was finally happening. I knew I wasn't going to be able to escape the weather, and I had to cut my day short to get out of the storms that were rolling. But once I caught a break in the storm, the clouds cleared, and I saw that I had this beautiful campsite. I couldn't predict what my first day on the trail would look like, but the next month just became a little more clear for me.
I'm filling up my water, and I hear a dog bark, and I look behind me, and someone's dog was off leash, eating all my granola.
The next section of the CT was by far the driest on the entire trail. It was so hot and was so dry, and oh boy, did it suck. But the further I got down the trail, the greener and more colorful everything became, and it was like the trail was just coming alive right in front of me. Later in the day, an old knee injury started to bother me, and this became a real big problem that I had to deal with for most of the trail. And at the time, I didn't have the supplies to take care of it, and it just kept getting worse and worse.
Boy, was that a nasty storm I just walked through. Ma! There's a fucking moose! Where's a moose? Where's a moose? Fuck this. This damn hail.
The higher I got in elevation, the mountains that I'd seen in all the research that I've done for this trip had finally come into view. But I could see some snow on those mountains, and there's a lot of it. I didn't know the snow conditions up in Georgia Pass, and I'd been fine up until that point, but haven't had to deal with any of it yet. Rumors down trail were saying there's 4 to 6 feet of snow up at the pass, and that made me feel really uneasy. But with the constant challenges, struggles, and pain that I was dealing with, that day would be, by far, the lowest point on the entire hike.
Today's definitely been one of them hardest days so far. Mentally, everything hurts. Everything's cold and wet, and it's not stopping.
I started the next day with what I guess you would say is a more positive mindset. I knew this trek wasn't going to be easy, but I knew to get better from here. But I also knew I was just too stubborn to quit, because I really didn't want to tell people that I quit in the first place.
For all you friggin' Texas people, it's snowing up here. And there's a lot of it up here as well. It is friggin' cold. Well, made it to where the CDT lines up with the Colorado Trail. On the other side of Georgia Pass, the snow is a lot worse. Lots of post-holing. This is gonna take me a while.
The storm started to get really bad really quick, and there are times I couldn't even see 5 feet in front of me. And to be honest, I was getting very scared. I was cold, I was wet, and I'd lost the trail miles ago. And for my own safety, I decided that I had to get off the mountain as fast as I could. The first 100 miles was definitely my first wake-up call for what the next 3 weeks was going to look like. And I just kept getting frustrated with myself because clearly I was not ready for the trail when I started. The next day I spent hours checking on trail conditions, checking on the weather, talking to locals, and getting new gear to make sure that I was ready for the next 300 miles. After Breckenridge, I was cruising. My morale was high and I was excited to get up and get hiking again. The weather was perfect and the scenery seemed to just unravel right in front of me. The first night I left Breckenridge was the first time I actually camped with someone on trail. It was a CDT hiker that came in late that evening. It was super cool to just get to be around someone again finally after all this time. We're telling stories and talking about how much that last climb sucked or where's the best place to grab lunch in the next town. The next morning we were packing up and he saw my seagull. He asked me about it and I was telling him, yeah, that's my trail buddy. He's been with me everywhere I've gone. And he said, you know, I'm a Triple Crown. I've hiked thousands of miles across the country, and I've never seen anyone with the seagull. And he picked up his trekking pole and he dubbed the seagull, and that's how I got my trail name.
So we're almost to Searle Pass, probably about 11,500 feet, 12,000 feet. There's still quite a bit of snow up here. Just traversing this snowfield, it's still pretty frozen.
That morning, I was fortunate enough that the snow was still frozen over. If it wasn't, the traverse between Searle and Kokomo Pass would have been dreadful. But I knew that once I made it to Kokomo Pass, for the most part, I'd be out of the snow for the rest of the trail.
This traverse just gets sketchier and sketchier. Yes, finally, we made it to Kokomo Pass. Oh my gosh. That was a death march.
After going through Kokomo Pass, Camp Hale, and Tennessee Pass, I found myself in Leadville for the night. At this point, I think I was also on a mission to find the best burrito because that was the only thing I ever ate when I was in trail towns. But here I'd also bump into the first true CT southbounders that I'd seen yet on trail. The campsite that I had that night was one of my favorite yet, and when I woke up the next morning, I had this amazing view of the mountains in front of me, and I even got a little surprise.
Trail magic.
One thing I really wanted to do was jump into some lakes, but the thing was that most lakes I passed at that point were still frozen over because I started so early. Twin Lakes was my first opportunity to jump in, and oh man, it was cold. One thing that's been cooking on the back burner for several days at that point was if I was going to take the Collegiate East or the Collegiate West. And I heard stories of CDT hikers having to reroute on the Collegiate West because the snow conditions were just so bad. And after what I've been through the past couple weeks, I didn't want to go through that again. So I decided to play it safe and take the East. I was a little worried about taking the Collegiate East. I was worried that the East wouldn't be as beautiful or the experience wasn't going to be on par with what the West had to offer. And all my planning was for the Collegiate West.
So I'm on the top of this ridge, that's Box Canyon, I think. I gotta go all the way down to there to camp for the night. Then tomorrow, I gotta go all the way back up, somewhere up to there, and I go right back down, go right back up, and then right back down. This uphill is kicking my ass.
The Collegiate Mountains were a whole different animal. I mean, the terrain was just insane sometimes. The elevation change that you went through in 10 miles was something I'd never seen before. But finally I started to get some momentum and I was flying down the trail, and I think I finally had my trail legs.
maybe next time. I really hate road walking now. It's like mile 5 of hard pavement to get to the next trailhead, but we're gonna stop at a nice steakhouse near Mount Princeton Spring Resort or something like that. So yeah. Look at all those people over there, all clean and comfortable on vacation in the pool. They might look like trash over there.
I really felt like I was finally getting in a groove. I mean, I made it halfway. How bad could it get? But with more miles to come, with leftover snow, down trees, and little water on trail, all became challenges that I had to deal with every day. But it was time for a new chapter of my journey to begin. It was very easy to get caught up in the miles. Every day, I woke up to something new and drastically different than before. The wilderness was always changing right in front of me.
That creek is officially called Schitt's Creek. It's in the middle of the freaking trail, and it's making it so muddy. Now my feet are all wet.
Many people would ask me, "You really spent 4 weeks alone without seeing anyone?" And of course, my response was always, "Yeah, duh, it was awesome." But the reality was, I was seeing lots of people on trail. Locals, hikers, heck, even my brothers came up to visit me while I was in Salida. I wasn't always in solitude.
Trail magic. Ah. Just got some more trail magic today. a trail angel named Styx had a little drop box where he was parked. I got to get a root beer and a peach. My knee just decided to say nope. Ow. Speed goat. Speed goat.
The trail always found ways to give me the boot. Water was the main issue, and it was always hard to find. But when the weather started to act against me, it was almost fight or flight, and I knew that I had to get to some cover very quick.
Finally made it to tree line. I just hauled ass. I'm tired.
It was really easy for me to get caught up in all the miles, and it seemed like I was just trying to figure out how far I could really push myself every day. And it wasn't until this day that I finally started to look up from my feet and just take in everything around me. Each hill that I crossed, I was getting closer and closer to San Luis Peak. It was something on my mind the entire day of whether or not I could actually climb it. But the closer I got to it, the more it became a reality.
Saddle right here. Seems like it keeps getting further away, but it's only a mile away. I'm pooped.
After a long day of hiking and after this huge climb, I knew that I couldn't stop hiking. So I decided to scramble to the top of the peak. What a view from the top of San Luis Peak. And the timing couldn't have been more perfect. The sun was starting to set, and I could see for miles in every direction. To be with the eagles soaring high, seeing the path that I took for hundreds of miles. I don't think I've ever felt more accomplished in my life.
Nothing like a little snow traverse at 8 o'clock in the evening. Today's been a great day of hiking. I don't care how tired I am. I just climbed San Luis Peak. Got a lot of miles in. Today's been a really good day. It's been really beautiful. I'm so happy I got to do all this.
In all my life, I've never really been spiritual. But today, I felt a true connection with Mother Nature. Spending the 4th of July in Creed was definitely interesting, to say the least. I mean, it was great food, great people, and I even got a little taste of mining. But I knew it was time to get back to hiking.
There's San Luis Peak.
The South San Juans really lived up to their name. It was just so beautiful. I mean, the fact that you could turn 360 degrees and have a different view in every direction, that this was the real sweet spot of hiking.
These small patches of snow, like this, not a pain in the ass. We're good. Snow traverse complete. Very swampy.
It never occurred to me that I'd be finishing the trail in under a week. It was a hard thing to think about, and going back to the real world after all this time, I don't think I could do it. I'd been living this lifestyle for so long now. I couldn't see myself stopping.
Had to avoid this sketchy snowdrift and the one down there too, which means I had to go straight up 500 feet. But the view's nice at least. I know this one's stupid video, but I had to take it.
I ended up following this ridge for the better part of 20 miles, and eventually I made it to the high point of the Colorado Trail. But it didn't hit me the way I thought it would. I was really more focused on the snacks that were in my pack.
It's so windy.
I mean, talk about being exposed. I was constantly getting burnt, and it was so windy at times, I was quite literally being blown off the trail. There were days I never even got below tree line.
Marmot. 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 Just made it to the Rio Grande headwaters. Everything starts from up here, goes all the way down through Texas.
After following the CDT for over 200 miles, the trail split, and I was finally on the last portion of the Colorado Trail. Believe it or not, my favorite time to hike was actually late in the evening. It was just something about the way the sun changed everything to this gold color. It was addicting, and there's a reason why they call it the golden hour. The last night on trail came before I knew it, and it was bittersweet, and I didn't know how to handle all my thoughts and feelings. I wasn't ready to go back to my old life. The trail was my home, and this was my new way of life. This journey was always about the challenge, the growth, and these new experiences that I've had. I wasn't ready to stop all of this. The last night was my time to look back on the countless miles my feet just endured. It was my time to look back on the highs and the lows, and the times I'm just trying to have a little fun. The trail was never about the destination. It was about all the milestones, my routines, and getting out of my comfort zone. Every day, I would take time to journal all of my thoughts and feelings, so that one day I can look back on all of the memories that I've had on this adventure. After almost 500 miles, I was finally crossing the finish line. So many thoughts and feelings were rushing through my mind, but nothing could describe how I felt finally crossing the finish line. This was my through hike of the Colorado Trail.